what the fuck am I watching? Hi everyone, and welcome back to Raging Rhino. Alright, I just finished watching The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1, Chapter 9, The Marshal. For me, this was probably one of the worst episodes in the entire Mandalorian series. There were so many bits of this where I was sort of sitting there going, what the fuck am I actually watching? Just what the fuck am I watching? Alright, spoilers ahead. So if you haven't watched the episode yet, go off and watch it and then come back and watch the review. Okay, so a couple of things. The opening scene, it opens up. You saw it in the trailer with the guy with the one eye. Basically, he goes into this place. He's trying to find Mandalorians. He's trying to get information. And the guy tries to give him a wager and say, you know, your best guy steal if this guy goes down. And there's pretty much a standoff. And you sort of saw in the trailer that, you know, they get taken out by the Mandalorian. Now, it's kind of like the same thing that we got at the beginning of episode 1 in season 1. It's sort of the same thing. It's just this quick little clip. Yeah, it's badass, but it's just this, you know, it's just this moment where he just needs to get the information, and it's just this quick cameo of what the Mandalorian can do, which is pretty awesome. But in saying that, there was a couple of things that I kind of felt like they were really trying so hard to address the fans on certain things. Now, I could be looking a little bit too much into this, but they kept emphasizing the punching of the helmet. Now, like, I didn't really go back and watch to see if, like, the guy was really hurt. He kind of flinched from it, and there was this moment where he punched him in the helmet, and it kind of hit the guy behind him in the head, sort of taking the impact, if you take my meaning. Anyway, that was kind of just a little thing that I kind of noticed. He gets the information that he needs, that there's a Mandalorian on Tatooine. So we're going back to Tatooine again. He basically just leaves the guy there to die, and he walks off into the moonlight. So he ends up going to Tatooine. Of course, he ends up with the crazy lady again that looked after the Baby Yoda in the first season. This was another bit that was really on the nose for me. It's like, you know, she's really wanting to keep this thing. She's like, oh, how much for it? But not really. But like, if it ever has offspring or anything like that, I want one. It's a little bit on the nose with how a lot of the fans are at the moment in regards to this Baby Yoda thing. It's just cute, 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 cute. Now, throughout this episode, you don't really get much of Baby Yoda. You get those cute little moments where he's like popping his head out and, he's a bit frightened or something like that. But it's definitely not a Baby Yoda episode. This episode, to be honest with you, isn't an anything episode. So anyway, he's got to go to Mos Pelgo, which is a little mining town on Tatooine. Now, he basically goes there on the speeder bike. He goes into the bar there. Everybody's looking at him. And he goes into the bar and asks if he's seen anyone looking like him. And he looks at the door, and of course, there's this guy standing there in Boba Fett's armor. Basically, it comes down to the Mandalorian is like, he obviously realizes that he's not a Mandalorian because he takes his helmet off. Anyway. And he's like, the only way this is going to end is with one of us walking out of here alive. I would have thought that the Mandalorian would have gone, all right, and just killed him right then and there. Or they would have had a standoff right then and there. But instead, we get this moment where they stand up and, it's the Old West. He's got his hand near his gun, all of that sort of thing. And, of course, they get interrupted by this massive, well, they call it a dragon. I call it an earthworm from Dune. Like, it was, I don't know. I don't know what this was. It was Sandjaws, I suppose. Anyway, it eats one of the banthas, and the guy, the marshal, that's who's wearing Boba Fett's armor, asks him for help. So the Mandalorian's like, all right, I'll help you, because he's such a nice guy. Man, he's looking for Mandalorian so that he can get this Baby Yoda thing back to its species or back to its home or wherever it needs to be. and he's off helping these guys because they just need help and he wants the armor. I mean, if he wants the armor that bad, why go through all of this and risk your life? Why wouldn't you just kill him and take the armor like he said he would, take it off his body? I was honestly like, what is going on? Anyway, this is where my favorite part of the episode comes in. It's the new speeder bike. The marshal's got this speeder bike. It's made out of an old pod from the pod races. And it was pretty cool. I thought it looked pretty awesome. That's probably the only thing that I really liked out of this episode. Okay, so as they're riding along, they come across the Sand People's, their dogs, those animals. I don't know what they're called, but they come out and the Mandalorian's like, I'll take care of this. And he goes over and he starts speaking in Sand People. Their language, and he starts communicating like that. Now, I know that we saw him communicating in season 1, but it was all just hand motions and all that sort of thing, and I thought that was a little bit ridiculous. From my understanding and what I know of Sand People, that exchange wouldn't have happened in season 1, and even more so in this season, in this episode. It was like, man, I was sitting there almost laughing. They're communicating like this. No subtitles or anything. We get a little bit of like what they're saying because the marshal guy asks him like what's going on. So he's got to sort of translate what's happening. But it's in very small words. And it just seemed like, again, this was the bit where I was like, what the fuck am I watching? It was bad. It was bad. Anyway, the Sand People, it turns out the Sand People want to kill this dragon thing as well. So they team up. They go to lure the dragon out. They realize that the plan that they've got is really bad. The Mandalorian then volunteers the rest of the village. So they've got more people to be able to take this thing down. They set up charges. Now, this was another thing. The episode was 55 minutes long. It's the longest episode that we've had. It was so much of nothing in this episode. So much of really nothing. And it was all just a build-up. This is the story of Boba Fett's armor. That's what this episode was. What happened to, Baby Yoda? What happened to giving us some substance from what you gave us in the first season? It was, man, no Darksaber, nothing from the first season. Anyway, so many montages throughout this. I think there was like three separate montages of them like traveling or them setting up the charges to take out this Sandjaws. Man, I just didn't like it. There was even a bit where the bartender's standing there with his rifle and he goes to shoot the thing and it's got like a kickback. Now, as far as I knew, blasters in Star Wars don't have any kick to them. A rocket launcher or something like that would, but as far as I know, just a blaster doesn't. Anyway, another little nitpick there, but just again, something that I noticed. It's the little details that, and because of what we've got out of Star Wars so far, with the Disney trilogy and even The Mandalorian Season 1, I'm looking at this a lot deeper. I'm looking at it like with a fine-tooth comb. I'm going through it as I'm watching it. The opening scene where he leaves the guy strung up and these eye things come out and start eating him. He's screaming like he's being eaten alive, but they haven't even gotten to him yet. Again, a little nitpick. I know it means nothing. But when you actually look at it and you hear him screaming the way he's screaming, there's nothing happening to him yet. The eyes aren't even at you, dude. But you're screaming. Anyway, I can go on and on about the little things like that, but these are just some of the things that I noticed. Anyway, he takes down the earthworm thing and he gets Boba Fett's armor and he's driving off into the sunset with Boba Fett's armor, and who do we see? Boba Fett. He's there watching his armor on the back of his speeder bike and he turns around and of course it's him. Which makes me think, did he know that this guy was wearing his armor the whole time? And if he did know that, like if he had an eye on him, and he watched the guy on the speeder bike, like, you know, the Mandalorian on the speeder bike go by, like, wouldn't he have just gone and got his armor back if he knew it was there? Just saying. I don't know, because I don't know what's going on. It was a bad episode for a first episode of the new season. Much anticipated, mind you. I was watching streams all day today and not one person really mentioned it. A couple of people did because I asked them, is anyone even excited about The Mandalorian? It's dropping in less than 24 hours and no one's talking about it. And I see why. This is bad. Bad. And I hope people see it for what it is, because, again, this was just... Give us nothing from the first season. Nothing. The only thing that continues from the first season is that the Mandalorian is looking for where Baby Yoda comes from. But by default, he's looking for more Mandalorians. Which, if he's looking for more Mandalorians, wouldn't he just go back to the chick that gave him the mission and say, where can I find more Mandalorians? Or something. I'm so confused. So confused. Anyway, look, I don't know what to say. It was a bad episode. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, it would probably get a 4. Yeah, maybe a 4.5. It wasn't good. I didn't enjoy it. Very boring and very bland, especially from what we told we were going to get in regards to bounty hunting. This isn't bounty hunting. I don't know what this is. Anyway, look, that's just my opinion. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Did you enjoy the episode? What do you think about his mission in this episode, if you can even call it that? Please let me know in the comments below. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate all of you. Thank you. Have a good one. And we'll see you next week for episode 2. Later.